There is a very specific kind of silence that happens when a predator realizes the cage door just locked from the outside. It is the split second where their smug grin curdles, their skin turns ash gray, and the overwhelming weight of their own arrogance crashes down on their head. My best friend spent 3 agonized months trembling every single time her phone buzzed. She was terrified that a ghost from her past was about to burn her entire future to the ground. She thought she was completely powerless. She forgot one tiny detail. She had me in her corner. And by the time we were finished with him, he did not just lose his leverage. He lost every single piece of his precious fake life. If you have ever had to watch someone you love get pushed into a corner by a pathetic, power-hungry narcissist, and you prayed for the universe to serve up a dish of absolute cold-blooded karma, then hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle in. Today's story is a masterclass in why you should never poke a sleeping digital bear. Let me introduce you to my best friend, Lyra. If you met Lyra today, you would see a brilliant, soft-spoken 23-year-old architectural designer. She can draft a complex building layout in her sleep, and she cooks the best mushroom risotto on the entire East Coast. She is the kind of gentle soul who moves tiny spiders outside in glass cups instead of stepping on them. She is thoughtful, quiet, and completely non-confrontational. But 5 years ago, when Lyra was an 18-year-old freshman living away from home for the very first time, she was terrified, isolated, and profoundly insecure. During that vulnerable chapter of her life, she fell directly into the orbit of a guy named Julian. Julian was not a monster back then, or at least he had not shown his teeth yet. He was charismatic, wealthy, and rode a wave of easy confidence that drew people in like moths to a flame. Lyra, feeling completely out of her depth at university, thought he was her anchor. But as anyone who has survived an emotionally manipulative relationship will tell you, the anchor very quickly becomes a chain. For 8 long months, Julian systematically tore down her self-esteem. He criticized her clothes. He criticized her laugh. He criticized her family background, and he made her feel utterly stupid. When Lyra was at her absolute lowest, trapped in a dark vortex of anxiety, she would text him. Raw, frantic, deeply personal messages. She poured out her deepest insecurities. She shared intimate personal secrets about her family's financial struggles. She sent desperate, pleading texts begging him to love her whenever he would pull away for days just to watch her squirm. Eventually, Lyra gathered every ounce of courage she had left to cut the anchor. She blocked him, got into therapy, transferred universities, and spent 4 long years rebuilding her life, piece by painstaking piece. Fast forward to 6 months ago. Lyra was finally thriving. She had landed a prestigious entry-level spot at a top-tier architecture firm in Chicago. She was engaged to a wonderful, supportive man named Mark. Her life was finally hers again, until Julian re-entered the picture. It started with a simple, unmarked email in her inbox on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. There was no subject line, just a single attachment. When Lyra opened it, her stomach did not just drop. It felt like it was carved out with a rusty spoon. The file contained screenshot after screenshot. Pages of intimate, deeply embarrassing, deeply personal text exchanges from 5 years prior. Messages where she talked about her darkest mental health struggles. Screenshots of private photos she had sent him in confidence. And transcripts where she expressed panicked, exaggerated thoughts about her own family during her mental breakdown. 10 minutes later, her phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. "Ho Lyra. Long time no see. You have built quite a nice little perfect life for yourself in Chicago, have you not? Impressive. It would be such a shame if your new boss, your fiancé, and his high society parents got a full printed booklet of who you really are. I bet Mark's family would love to know how unstable you were. Let us have a little chat about how you can keep these archives private." Lyra did not scream. She did not cry. She went completely numb. Julian did not want money, at least not at first. Julian was a trust fund narcissist who did not need cash. What he needed was control. He was engaged himself now, to the daughter of a prominent dean at a major university where he was currently completing his master's in business and law. On paper, Julian was a golden boy, a future executive, a community leader. In reality, he was a sociopath who got off on knowing he still held a leash around the neck of a girl who had dared to walk away from him years ago. For 3 agonizing weeks, Julian played a sick mind game with her. He would text her at 2 in the morning, demanding she reply within 5 minutes, or he would send a batch of screenshots to her firm's managing partner. He made her call him and listen to him talk down to her, forcing her to validate his ego, forcing her to apologize for leaving him 5 years ago. He was slowly, methodically eroding her sanity all over again. She lost 8 pounds in 2 weeks. Her eyes had dark, purple crescents under them. Every time her phone chimed, her entire body would physically shudder. She was too terrified to tell her fiancé, Mark, because Julian had convinced her that Mark would leave her if he ever saw those raw, ugly breakdown texts from her past. Julian had built a psychological prison around her, and he held the only key. Or so he thought. I found out on a rainy Thursday evening. I had dropped by Lyra's apartment unannounced to bring her some hot food because she had not been answering my texts for days. When she opened the door, she looked like a shadow of herself. Her hands were shaking so violently she could not even hold the mug of tea I made her. And then she broke. She collapsed on her living room rug, sobbing so hard she could barely catch her breath, and she confessed everything. She showed me the texts. She showed me the demands. She showed me how Julian was slowly squeezing the life out of her just for his own twisted entertainment. As I read through those messages, watching this arrogant, cowardly excuse of a man parade his cruelty, something hot and sharp ignited in my chest. You see, Julian made one fatal mistake. He assumed Lyra was entirely alone. He did not know that I work as a senior cybersecurity systems analyst for a cloud logistics firm. I do not just know how networks function. I spend 40 hours a week hunting down system vulnerabilities, studying user behavior, and understanding how digital footprints work. Julian thought he was a criminal mastermind because he used a virtual burner app and a basic VPN to text her. But narcissists are inherently lazy. They think their intelligence shields them from basic mistakes. I looked at Lyra, wiped a tear off her cheek, and said 6 words that changed everything. Give me your phone. He is done. We were not going to hire a hitman, and we were not going to physically confront him. Violence is clumsy. Physical threats give people like Julian a legal high ground. Oh. If you want to destroy a narcissist, you do not break his bones. You dismantle his image. You pull the threads of his carefully crafted reputation until he stands completely naked in front of everyone he has ever lied to. First, I analyzed the vector. Julian was texting her using a virtual number. But Julian was sloppy. To maintain control over his leverage, he kept all his blackmail material, hundreds of folders of screenshots, stolen images, and creepy digital logs of multiple ex-girlfriends, stored across his cloud devices and synced to his primary accounts. He liked to look at his trophies. I did not need to perform some Hollywood hacking routine. Real digital warfare is 90% social engineering and exploiting human arrogance. I knew Julian's public persona. He was a senior student administrator at his university's business school, constantly logged into the university's high-bandwidth campus networks. I also knew he ran a semi-popular local podcast on business ethics. The irony was almost sickening. And he kept his WhatsApp web continuously active on his personal laptop while working in public study lounges. I helped Lyra craft a specific, psychologically engineered response to his burner number. Julian, I cannot do this over text anymore. I have put together a document addressing everything you asked for. I uploaded it to a secure drive folder. Look at it, tell me if it is enough, and please just leave me alone. Attached was a link to a secure preview document hosted on a domain I set up. When Julian, driven by his overwhelming hubris, clicked that link from his open browser while sitting in his university library, he did not just open a document. The landing page executed a basic session token capture that acquired his active browser cookies, including his persistent, authenticated WhatsApp web session state. Within 45 seconds, I was not just looking at a screen. I was staring directly into the inner workings of Julian's entire digital life. And what we found in that account did not just make us angry. It made us sick. Julian was not just blackmailing Lyra. He had an active group chat with 3 of his former fraternity brothers, a chat titled sickeningly The Vault. In this group, Julian and his friends regularly shared non-consensual private photos of women they had dated. They rated them. They discussed strategies on how to manipulate them. Worse yet, Julian was actively cheating on his wealthy, high-profile fiancée. There were dozens of explicit threads between him and multiple other women, complete with messages where he brutally mocked his fiancée's physical appearance, calling her a ticket to an easy life, and laughing about how her father was going to secure him a 6-figure role immediately upon graduation. He had another chat with his university project members where he boasted about buying pre-written master's thesis modules from an illegal offshore diploma mill, an offense that carries automatic, permanent expulsion from his university. He was a walking, talking mountain of fraud, deceit, and psychological abuse. He felt so untouchable, so superior, that he kept all his crimes organized in neat chat threads on an app logged into his phone. Lyra sat next to me, staring at the monitor, her hand over her mouth. "He is going to ruin so many lives," she whispered. "No," I replied, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. "He was." Past tense. We did not delete his files. Deleting them would just make him angry and give him a reason to play the victim. We organized them. I created a clean, undeniably clear digital dossier. No edits. No malicious photos of innocent people. We carefully redacted the images of the victims to protect their privacy completely. But we left every single word of Julian's text messages, his voice notes, his thesis buying receipts, and his disparaging comments about his fiancée and her family completely intact. Then came the execution phase. Julian's university business cohort had an official, verified broadcast group with over 200 students, professors, and department heads, used for administrative announcements. Julian's fraternity alumni network had a massive group chat containing high-profile university donors, corporate recruiters, and prominent local businessmen. And of course, Julian's fiancée's family had a dedicated wedding planning family group chat containing 28 members of her wealthy, socially prominent inner circle. Because I had active control of his authenticated session, I was sitting inside his account with full administrative dispatch privileges. To the servers, every command being issued was coming directly from Julian's primary device. It was 11:15 on a Friday morning. I knew Julian was currently sitting in the front row of his ethics lecture, surrounded by 80 of his peers and his department head. I looked at Lyra. "Are you ready?" Lyra took a deep breath. For the first time in 3 months, the color had returned to her face. She looked at the screen, then at me. "Press send." In less than 3 seconds, automated scripts dispatched the organized dossiers simultaneously across every single one of those groups. In the university broadcast group, a document titled, Julian's Complete Academic Integrity and Thesis Purchasing Log. In the fraternity alumni group, a document titled, The Vault. Evidence of Image Distribution by Julian. In his fiancée's family group, a document titled, Julian's Private Thoughts on the Family and His Engagement. And finally, to his entire contact list, a simple, clear message containing the explicit record of his 3-month blackmail campaign against Lyra, complete with audio files of his threatening phone calls. The reaction was instantaneous and apocalyptic. Through a contact at the university who was sitting 3 rows behind Julian in that lecture hall, we got a play-by-play of what happened next. 10 minutes into the lecture, phones began to buzz. First 1, then 5, then 50. The professor stopped speaking as a collective gasp echoed through the auditorium. Heads turned slowly en masse toward the front row where Julian was sitting. Julian, oblivious for a fraction of a second, pulled out his phone. He saw the notifications pouring in hundreds per second. He opened his app and saw his own account sending dozens of terrifying, self-incriminating files to every person he knew, loved, feared, and respected. Our contact said Julian's face went from pale to ghostly white in a heartbeat. He stood up so fast his chair flipped over backward, clattering against the floor. His hands were shaking so violently he dropped his phone, the glass shattering on impact. As he bent down to pick it up, the professor, who had just opened the academic integrity document on his own laptop, looked over his glasses and said in a voice like absolute ice, "Julian, pack your bags and step out into the hallway. The dean is on his way." Within 2 hours, his fiancée had called off the wedding, blocked him on every platform, and her father had personally contacted the board of admissions. Within 24 hours, the university initiated a formal academic fraud investigation and placed him on immediate suspension. Within a week, local authorities were handed the digital files regarding the non-consensual image sharing. Julian did not just lose his degree. He lost his reputation, his lucrative corporate job offer, his wealthy social circle, and his entire future in one single glorious afternoon. Lyra did not celebrate with a crazy party. We just sat on her balcony, ate fresh pizza, and watched the city skyline light up as the sun went down. For the first time in half a decade, she breathed out a breath she had been holding since she was 18 years old. Monsters like Julian only have power as long as you let them operate in the dark. The second you shine a bright enough light on them, they shrink back into the tiny, pathetic creatures they have been all along. If that story gave you the ultimate sense of digital justice, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story. And I want to hear from you in the comments below. What is the most insane, satisfying way you have ever seen a bully get exposed? Drop your thoughts down below, stay safe out there, and I will catch you in the next one.